One of the stories I was thinking of sharing when you mentioned the questions you might ask is when we were in Bethlehem one time. I'm sorry, we were in Gettysburg for this. A lady just walked up to us at the table. We didn't say anything. She just looked at us and she goes, "This is the sign I needed." And
Oh
she's
my
like,
gosh.
"I'm coming back." She's like, "I've been thinking about coming back. This is the sign that I needed. I'm doing it." And she walked in. We didn't say a word to her. She walked into the nearest a restaurant, which is like a pretty well-known restaurant. Can't remember the name of that restaurant either, but it's like a popular burger joint in Gettysburg on the corner there, in the Gettysburg Circle where we evangelized. And she bought us a gift card to this restaurant just like out of gratitude.
Oh my gosh.
So she had been thinking about it, and then just seeing us, like it, just like you say, Bob, it was the straw that broke the camel's back. It's just beautiful sometimes, like what God can do just by you being there.
Welcome to Stories from the Street. I'm Brian. Thanks for joining us today. In this podcast, we interview Chris Carlo. Chris is a regional missionary with SPSE in Middletown, New Jersey. Today he shares his story about how he traveled hours just to go on his first outing, and later he started his own team and eventually began helping others start their own teams as well. In the interview, we asked Chris about his favorite evangelization encounters and the fruits of evangelization that have already been revealed since he started. I hope you enjoy it.
Give me joy in the morning
I was saying right now, if you had to guess which one of us worked for St. Paul Street Evangelization, I don't know. You would guess it'd be Chris, but no, he's actually just repping for us as our new regional missionary. So we're very blessed to be able to have him in leadership in that capacity in a new place, right, Chris? You just moved.
No, I didn't move.
You didn't move. Oh, okay.
No.
Just change locations. So yeah, tell us.
I think maybe you meant when I went up to Michigan for the Encounter School for a little while.
Oh, okay.
But I ended up coming back to New Jersey here.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, just tell us, for those who are listening, just a little bit about yourself and where you're from and how you got involved.
Yeah, I'm from Middletown, New Jersey. My parish is Mary Mother of God here in Middletown. And I first heard about St. Paul Street Evangelization on the local Catholic radio station. I heard just an advertisement. And the ad that was running at that time was, it would first talk about like all the cultural issues that we're having, abortion, the state of marriage in our society, and, all these terrible things that we're going through. And then the ad proposed that Jesus Christ is the answer to all of these problems. The gospel is the solution. And that's the first time I really like that the dots like that were connected like that for me. That the gospel is the solution, that it's not just a natural fight kind of. It's not just, a political fight to rally votes or something, but our culture has really turned away from God and turned away from the gospel. And that it's in turning back to God that ultimately I think those problems can only be solved through that. Not that political solutions are unimportant or that we don't work politically and all this, but I think the most important thing is to spread the gospel. And so that's what made me that really caught my ear. It touched something in me, and there was something special about it. So it made me want to look into the ministry more. And I didn't end up going out at all. I would say for a number of months after that, even though I had heard that, but I saw some of the stories from the street on Facebook. And I saw the pictures of people out on the street, and I was reading the stories of, all these things happening with the teams. And that is really what made me say, wow, like this is working. This is, people are really, responding to this. And that's what made me want to really get out there.
That's amazing, Chris. Where are you at in your own faith life as as you just had heard about St. Paul Street Evangelization on the radio, were you already like very involved in your faith? Were you already in seminary at that point? Because I'm not even sure where you were in your own faith life when you first heard about us.
Yeah, I guess I would say I was a serious Catholic. I was not in seminary. It was about a year before I went to DeSales University to finish up my degree, my bachelor's degree, for my senior year there. And right after DeSales, I went into seminary. So this is about 2 years before I went into seminary, which is about 3 years ago now. I guess I would just have considered myself like, a serious Catholic, a disciple of Jesus for sure.
Yeah.
But still had a lot of growing to do. And I'm sure I still do right now. So
no, that's why we promoted you to regional missionary. You're done, Chris. You made it.
When was it when you first finally got out to start evangelizing? And tell us how that went.
Yeah, so after I started looking at those stories from the street on Facebook, I got in touch with what I think was the closest team to me, which was just a guy named Fred Marks. I don't know if you know Fred. He's up in Queens, New York, which was about an hour and 20-minute drive for me. But I was just so amped and so excited to go do it that I drove up there a few times and evangelized with Fred. Fred's like a Catholic author. He's a former university professor, and he usually just does it by himself, I think, up there. He's outside. He got permission to do it outside his local church. It's a beautiful, big church in Queens there, Our Lady of something, I forget. And he just sits right outside the church. He has a big thing of pamphlets. It's a busy street corner in New York. There's a lot of people walking by. I think there's a subway, stairs nearby. So a lot of people are a lot of traffic. And, that was just like, from 0 to 100 going up there in New York, there were so many people, and it was just like, we were just handing out so many pamphlets and so many conversations. And that was my first experience.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to even just hear more about that. Like when you walked away, where you're like, that was exactly what I was expecting, or that was different from what you were expecting. Do you remember?
It was a new experience for me.
Were you nervous?
I get nervous every time. I think, still, with it. Praise God, like that He gives me like the courage to do it anyway. I think, I guess I didn't know much about what I was doing because I still hadn't gone through like the evangelization training or anything yet. I just went up there and I was handing out pamphlets, and I think reading through that evangelization training is really what made me understand evangelization at a deeper level. So I think when I first started doing it, I was just kind of, it was good. It's all good. If you hand a pamphlet to someone about Jesus, or you give someone a miraculous medal, that's awesome. But I don't know if I was ready to have like the deep conversations yet about the gospel. But it was amazing. I definitely like I just felt the presence of God while I was doing it. There was something special about it. I've heard other people like evangelists talk about that. Like you can almost just feel the Spirit. You feel yourself filled with joy, or I got that. It was just, it's such a joyful thing for me, and I mean that's one of the things that I think kept me doing it.
Yeah, it's encouraging. Because people think they got to know everything first, but we like to encourage people, go out there. You don't have to know your faith that well. Just get out there, watch a guy who's got more experience than you, maybe pray and just watch, observe. And then you'll get this, it's almost that palpable feeling of the Holy Spirit. Like, yeah, I should be doing this. And then that leads to keep going out and to start looking into the training.
Yeah. Yeah, Chris, the way that you got started is exactly the way many people do. And the way we encourage them, because when you start people and saying you have to go through all this training before you can go out there, Bob did actually recently come up with a 7-minute video, right, Bob? So we actually recently did like just come up with something, okay, just watch this for 7 minutes to get a basic understanding for what you're doing, what you're going out there, and, ways that you can begin the conversation. But after that 7 minutes, at least you have a basic understanding of what you're doing. It's just like, okay, get out there. And we also have further training online. A lot of it's available for free right now. If you go to our website, streetevangelization.com, just so you can get a basic, we call it Introduction to Evangelization. It's a whole video course that we have of how is it and you understand that evangelization is not necessarily about having every answer someone could have about the Catholic faith, but more about loving the person in front of you and wanting them to be able to hear and know the gospel. And it's it's been amazing to see the stories come from that. So, I mean, it sounds like right then you went up there, you had that experience up in Queens, New York. When did you start beginning your own team?
Yeah, I decided I wanted to be a team leader when I went to DeSales University. So that was about a year later after I had originally started evangelizing. So I got there at DeSales, and there was really nothing analogous to it like it already at the campus. So I figured I would start a team with whoever might be interested. I knew there's some serious Catholics there at DeSales, and I had made some friends, and I knew some people that I thought would be interested. And so I just decided to start it. And I asked a couple friends, and these two girls wanted to do it. And so we would go, DeSales University is in Center Valley, Pennsylvania. So it's right near Allentown, Pennsylvania, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And so we would go to Bethlehem, just in Main Street in Bethlehem. And DeSales, and that area is actually full of, it's some kind of semi-obscure Protestant denomination that started that founded the areas out there. I forget what it's called. I wish I could remember, but that would be a lot of our interactions were with different Protestants out there. But it was a great time, there were a few people on the team, and it was similar. We just had a lot of great conversations, and there were a few great stories from that time. I remember one time a girl came up to our table, and we started talking to her, and she said she was Catholic, and we asked if she went to mass, and she said she didn't make it because of work, and that's very common. A lot of people will say, I don't have the time, or I work on Sunday, and our answer was to propose that she consider Saturday evening the vigil mass. And we were just like, do you know that there's masses on Saturday evening, or there's really masses throughout Sunday, even at all times. And she was like, oh, thank you, and she kind of walked away, but she sat down on the bench nearby, and I engaged her in conversation again a little while later after that, and I forget exactly what I said, but eventually she opened up about how her grandma is always praying for her, and and she used to be serious about the faith, and at one point she was like, you know what, I'm going to go back. She was like, I'm going to go, and so that's always beautiful to see that when and what did that, I don't know, but right. I guess we were just being out there and encouraging her, So.
Yeah, it wasn't like you had a specific answer of a theological question or anything like that, right? You were just talking to her and seeing where she was at in her life.
Yeah, just I just showing her love, and something there was obviously already a process going on in her heart. She saw us, and immediately I kind of could tell, like, she was thinking about stuff just looking at our table, and like it had caused something in her, and.
Yeah, God had probably been working on her for a long time, and she saw you and your team, and that was just the straw that broke the camel's back. And look at how easy it is. You hardly had to do anything. And
I've had that happen a couple times. One of the stories I was thinking of sharing when you mentioned the questions you might ask is when we were in Bethlehem one time. I'm sorry, we were in Gettysburg for this. A lady just walked up to us at the table. We didn't say anything. She just looked at us, and she goes, "This is the sign I needed." And
oh my gosh,
I'm coming back. She's like, I've been thinking about coming back. This is the sign that I needed. I'm doing it. And she walked in. We didn't say a word to her. She walked into the nearest restaurant, which is like a pretty well-known restaurant. Can't remember the name of that restaurant either, but it's like a popular burger joint in Gettysburg on the corner there, in the Gettysburg Circle where we evangelize. and she bought us a gift card to this restaurant just like out of gratitude.
Oh my gosh.
So she had been thinking about it, and then just seeing us, like it, just like you say, Bob, it was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing.
It's just beautiful sometimes, like what God can do just by you being there.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's like 90% of it is just showing up, man. It's all God needs.
Yeah, absolutely.
We just ran a story in our newsletter that we send out every Wednesday night, the Stories from the Street, just like email that. And one of them was one of our team in Silver Spring, Maryland, about how there was a woman who saw that there was like just thinking to herself how much evil there is in the world and like not believing that God exists. And she actually just ended up saying that Satan must have more power. So in her own mind, she was like, maybe if there's all this evil, I should start worshiping Satan. And then she saw one of our teams and she said a prayer like, God, if you are real, I'm going to need you to show me. So, and then she walks out and then she sees one of our teams and she's like, oh my gosh, like just by seeing one of our teams there in Silver Spring, Maryland, made her realize like God used them to show her that like he actually does exist and does love her. And then she ended up going with them and talking to them. And then she ended up joining RCIA because she wasn't Catholic. So it was like really interesting about how a lot of people have that prayer, like, God, I want you to show me that you exist today, and recognizing that God wants to show himself that he exists through, us, through his disciples. I mean, that's the reason he established the church. Is the church is there to, for us to be conduits of, we're meant to imitate Jesus and be Jesus. So it's kind of amazing how that happens on the street and it's not even using words. It's just that the presence of being there helps people see that God exists.
Yeah, I got another similar one if you want another one.
Yeah.
we were on the street here in Middletown. We go to our local city. It's just like a small city. And we go outside of the park, which is right near a river. It's really, really nice park. And we're just outside the entrance, and a lot of people walking by. And one day a girl walked up to our table, and we had the Ask a Priest sign, and we had Father with us that day. And she started talking to us, and she had been divorced. And, it was a really, she was emotional about it. And I think we shared separation and divorce in itself is not cause for you to be separated from the sacraments, as long as you go to confession. And correct me if I'm wrong, but if you, there's legitimate reasons for being separated, but as long as you're not remarried and if you can go to confession, you can receive the sacraments. I think a lot of people don't realize that it's like, I got divorced and now the church doesn't want me anymore. Right. That's not true.
I've talked to a lot of people who, believe that.
So we said that to her, and I don't know if that's what did it, but at one point she actually started crying. She just started weeping right there. Just over the, whether it was this and other stuff too, I don't know, but she was crying. And we were like, we were kind of like, I don't know, I don't really know what to do, but I was like, hey, Father's right here. And like, you can go to confession right now. And, the church can receive you back, and you can be like in full communion with the church right now. And I was like, would you like to do that? And she was like, yeah. So Father and her just walked down into the park and went to a park bench, and she went to confession. And, that's one of the most beautiful stories that I've experienced.
That's amazing.
And the reason that I thought of it with, just these random, people that say a prayer or whatever, is because she said before that, she's like, I didn't know, or maybe it was after this. She was like, I didn't know why I walked down the street this day. She was like, it was weird that I even came here down this particular street today. I forget exactly what she said, but she was like, I didn't know why I came down here. She didn't have like a purpose for, and she's like, this is the reason.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Just like another one of those, like,
those moments you just see, watch God work, and it's like, I don't know what I'm doing. And next thing you know, you're looking back.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah. And that experience actually got my friend John to become like so excited about street evangelization, because he was kind of hesitant before that, which so many people are.
Yeah.
Because it can be nerve-wracking, and people have a distorted notion of street evangelization as a result of Protestant evangelization or people with megaphones or whatever it is. And after that experience with that woman, my friend John was like all in. He was like, this works, this is beautiful, and it's nothing like you think it is. And so that was beautiful too. And since then he's been a team leader in this area when I've left this area, and so that's also that's
amazing. I don't think we'd have as many team leaders as we do now if it didn't work, because a lot of them, in my experience in this role as the director of teams, a lot of them tell me that they actually went out evangelizing with somebody, or they normally, just like you, Chris, they want to contact someone and they're even willing to drive an hour, 2 hours away if that's where like the closest team leader is, just to check it out. And then after they check it out and they're like, okay, like I see this and I want to be a part of this, because it is much different than what you think of during street evangelization. I know there are Protestants who have a similar method of like the listening, befriending, but I know there are a lot of people out there who use street evangelization just as a soapbox to be able to have just talk to people on the megaphone and not really listen. And we realize that the fact that we have found a method of evangelization on the street that actually can be fruitful, that actually leads to conversion, and to be a part of that is really beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, that's amazing. So one of the things I also know is that you've been evangelizing recently, even during this pandemic. How's that been?
Yeah, we've gone out a little bit. Let's see. Well, we went to our local park, and it was unfortunate because they actually shut us down, or they didn't shut us down exactly, but they wanted us to go to a free speech zone in the park. And we gave a little bit of resistance to that idea, just that because parks and street corners are supposed to be the same kind of traditional public forum where your free speech is guaranteed. And to us, it was like a freedom of speech zone is unconstitutional, and it really makes it so that the park is not a free speech zone anymore. So that was a little bit of a negative experience, but we just kind of picked up our stuff and we decided to go to the nearby small city, and then that day worked out great after that. Great conversations and stuff, but so
that's good. That's happened to a couple of our teams, and I know sometimes what's unfortunate is a free speech zone. It brings them to places where they don't get to interact with a lot of people. Is that in the case where it was the free speech zone in the park, a place where not a lot of people are gathering?
I would say so. Yeah, I mean, I definitely less so than like you might near like a path or something that people are walking by, or just if you can go 2 by 2 walking around at people.
Yeah,
it's not like off in a corner or the middle of the nowhere, but it's not in the best spot.
So these were park rangers who came up and told you had to either go to the free speech zone or leave. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
And then they said, if you don't leave, if you stay here, we're going to call the police. Is that what happened?
Yeah. The one guy actually told me, one of the park rangers said that he has the power of arrest. And I was a little bit like snobby. Like I was like, you can't arrest me. And he was like, no, I have the power of arrest. And like, apparently he's been through like the whatever you got to do to get to do that. So, but yeah, I think he also threatened that he would call the cops. So.
Is there a park jail, or would he have to just arrest you and then let the cops come and take you to their prison?
I don't know. You got to go hang out with the swans for a little while.
Initially, when I heard this, I was like, you got to get them to call the cops. Of course, it's easy for me here in Michigan when you're, 3 states away. But I think you did the right thing. It's a good idea to go and try and work it out with the cops or work it out with the park. Did you do any follow-up, or are you just not going to go there anymore, or what?
No, we haven't done any follow-up. I mean, Steve sent an email and he said, basically there's so many places to evangelize. And like I said, we just went to the local city and we were outside, the post office, and that was fine. And there's just so many places that we can freely evangelize that it's almost like a waste of time to try to, and I don't know. Adam said he's called like the higher up of the park because he had a similar situation and got it fixed. We might do that. I haven't followed up with it though.
Knowing the way God works, he probably had somebody in mind for you at this other place. Did you meet somebody at the other place?
We had a few good conversations. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Nothing that I saw that was huge, but that's my limited vision. So I don't know, but definitely some good conversations.
Sometimes our teams get resistance, and it's not from anyone from authority. It's just from like a person who thinks, they shouldn't be there. And sometimes we tell our teams, well, if it's just a random person who doesn't like what you're doing, it doesn't mean that you have to leave, but if it is a park ranger, then our response is normally just like, okay, like go ahead and follow them. And then you can do follow up with someone from authority later, if that really is the policy of the park, or were they just mistaken? And so that way there's no like negative interaction right in the beginning.
I think that's best too.
Good. I definitely encourage you to do follow up. I go ahead and see like what the instance is for that park. I do know that we do give all of our teams a document that shows that they have a right to be in public and to be able to share our faith. And we encourage them to be able to have that when they're going. But there are local ordinances, and there are little things that might come into play when you're at a public park like that, where maybe they've zoned that free speech zone and that's still part of that exercising that right to free speech in the public area.
Yeah.
Was there anything different about evangelizing now, that in the midst of everything that's happening in our culture with the pandemic and the unrest, the civil unrest? Did you encounter anything with that as you went out?
I did not sense anything really different. I mean, although I don't know. Okay. To be honest, when we were in the park, I think less people stopped than usually. Mm-hmm. I remember saying that to one of the guys who was actually new to it. I was like, usually more people stop. So that may have been a result of people just kind of being so a little weary or whatever. But that was a couple weeks ago now, and so I don't know how things have changed. I think people are going to be. This is just my own conjecture, but I think people are going to be more open to it now, just because they've been forced to confront the realities of life, of death, and the deeper questions. So I'm hoping that people are going to be more open to talking about religion.
I definitely recognize that just in my own life with friends and family, and those I encounter in my neighborhood, or if I do have a conversation, with it, whenever I've gone out, just even in my everyday life, I feel like those are things that I'm talking about more. But and so we always thought that would carry over to doing street evangelization, and we think it will. But we also recognize that just what you mentioned, people might be a little more leery about stopping and having those conversations with people on the street. So that's the only other element that's added into play. I think people are thinking about this, and then it's just a matter if they feel comfortable stopping and talking to you.
Yeah.
So you're you are a regional missionary with us now. Does that mean you're not a team leader anymore, or do you wear both hats?
No, for now, I am definitely going to keep being a team leader. I work as a pastoral associate for evangelization and outreach at my local parish. And so we have a team at our parish. I'm actually going to do some evangelization training tonight for our team. I'm hoping there's going to be so many people at our parish that I can even have multiple days and multiple teams and get people out in different areas and stuff. Train people to be leaders. So no, I hope to definitely continue as a team leader. And
sounds like you're going to be like a team planter.
What's that?
Sounds like you're going to be a team planter.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's one of the reasons I wanted to become a regional missionary is to encourage teams, and because there's so much potential out there. I mean, like I know it was true in my own life before I was into this, and so many Catholics know that they have to evangelize, and they know that and they want to evangelize. I think but they don't exactly know how to do it, or they don't know a method or how to bring it up with people. And this is just one avenue or solution to that question. I mean, it's a great one too. It's like one of the easiest ways to evangelize, to just go out there and put yourself out there and talk to people, And that's why I wanted to become a regional missionary, is to galvanize that potential that I see in the Catholic Church.
And in your parish. Right. It's not, so you're working for this parish right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's amazing. And I love it when parishes contact us to want to get involved, because one of the taglines that, especially at the beginning, we said this apostolate exists to be a bridge from the street to the parish. And when you have parishes who are going out there and saying that I want to be a part of this organization because I want to reach people in our community that are on the streets who probably don't know very little about the Catholic faith. I mean, sometimes it's so easy to just assume everybody already knows about Jesus, already knows about the Catholic faith and when and when it was established and how it's been there since the beginning. It began with Peter. So it's amazing to just be able to go and have these conversations with people from the street who surprisingly don't know that much about their faith. And then when you share it with them, you can actually, not just answer questions, but then invite them to be part of the church. Like, this is for you. This is not just, I'm out here because I want to answer questions, but I'm really out here because if there's any of these questions that are really roadblocks from you entering the church, let's get those addressed, because, this faith is for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. So are you trying to get like more than one team in your parish, or you want, or what?
Yeah. I mean, we have a lot of people interested. And I know just in the past from doing evangelization training at our parish, a lot of people come out and they're interested. So, I mean, it would be too much to have like 20 people on one street corner. So I'm hoping to, split it up into teams and maybe have, whatever days work for different people, and they could, coordinate with each other. And so, yeah, definitely.
That's great.
Yeah. So so that way, when you have the entire parish, you get them pumped about evangelization, and you say, all right, we want 25 people on this street corner over here. Everybody just huddle up. If there's one person that's walking by, you tackle them,
surround them.
You hand him the pamphlet. You start praying over him.
The Catholic gauntlet.
Yeah, we can just go ahead and set that up. Just get hundreds of people right there.
So how do you get all these people involved? I mean, how do you pique their interest? What do you just have a chat with them, or what?
Well, our parish. Our pastor really emphasizes evangelization, and it's quite a dynamic parish. There's a lot of activity at the parish, and there's always a retreat or a Life in the Spirit seminar, or there's a lot of a good community life at the parish, and so just from that community, there's a lot of people that are when you start something, a lot of people will come out and be a part of it,
Yeah.
Sure. It's so important to have a founder on board. If he gets on board, it makes your job so much easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And it makes it fun. I mean, for him to come out and be hearing confessions, that's really exciting. I know as an evangelist, it's just really cool to be able to just have that option to point people to, especially if they're fallen away Catholics, just saying, hey, we have Father here right now. Do you want to talk to him?
I love it. Yeah, I love having the priests come out with us. Yeah.
That's really great. Well, we're coming to the end of our time, Chris. The only other question that I wanted to ask you, if you had any other advice for any of our team leaders or those who are discerning about starting a team.
Oh man, anybody discerning to start a team? Well, I guess I would advise team leaders to if you're looking trying to get team members involved, share the stories from the street and show pictures, because I really think a lot of people don't get involved because they do have this distorted image of what evangelization is. They don't know that it can be loving, and that we're non-confrontational. And that's what got me involved, was just reading those stories and seeing the pictures of the smiling faces and the arm around the shoulder with the guy that just decided he's going to come back to church after 20 years. Without those stories and pictures, I think our image of evangelization is it's not going to be attractive to anybody to want to do this at all. So I guess that would be one tip. Yeah.
And if they don't have those stories yet because they haven't gone out themselves, would you say anything to them?
Use other people's stories. Oh man, I would just share stories from somebody else, like Steve's beautiful story of giving a miraculous medal away, and somebody deciding not to abort her child, after their conversation. I mean, that's amazing. Imagine. Yeah. And it's like, well, that's what we do. We go out and we give miraculous medals sometimes, and we have conversations.
If you want gift cards to burger places, you just got to go out and set up a table in Gettysburg, Maryland, or Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Sorry.
Yeah, if you want a gift card.
Right. Yeah. If you're really hungry, this is a way that you can possibly get gift cards. It's happened before.
Yeah, when they say the pandemic, there is an option for you.
Yeah, when they say, why should I evangelize? You're like, I got a free gift card.
Yeah, I got a free burgers. That's really funny.
That's it.
Well, thanks for being on with us, Chris. And people want to get in contact with you, they can go to our website, right?
I
go to our locations page and type in your name, Chris Carlo.
Yeah, I should be there with the team leaders, right?
Yep. Yeah, so you're on there. So if anyone just goes to streetevangelization.com and they type in your name, I believe you're under Christopher. So just type in Christopher, they'll see you.
On the locations page?
On the locations page, yeah. And our website, streetevangelization.com. You click on locations, you can search for Chris. And on his website, you could even email him and send him a note just saying that you heard from him. Or if you're in the area, you want to get involved with him and his parish, I'm sure he'd be happy to have you come on board.
Yeah, if you're anywhere in Central Jersey, I'll help you start a team. If you're a little further, I don't care. I'll go wherever.
That's great. Well, thanks, Chris, for being with us, and thank you everybody for joining us for the Divine Mercy Chat. I hope you were inspired by Chris's stories, and if you want to learn how to evangelize, just go to our website, streetevangelization.com. Just as we mentioned before, we have a lot of training and resources for you to get involved. If you click get involved, you can fill out some information. I will personally get in contact with you if you want to start a team. You can also find teams, and our team leaders will get back in touch with you. If you're anywhere near New Jersey, anyone, we'll just say 500-mile radius, Chris will personally get back to you and help you get started. But yeah, thanks again for being with us, Chris.
All right, thank you so much for having me.
All right, God bless.